Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with Me, and we are going to do some stamping today. Now I got some brand new stamps, and they are the label stamps, and I got those from Signet Stamp Company. That is the name right there, Signet. I think one of our fellow crafters helped design these stamps, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to do some stamping with those today, and then along with that we are doing M's Scrapbuster Challenge. We're going to be stamping on a lot of different products today, so we're going to see which ones work the best and which ones don't work so good. So I've got all kinds of things drug out, and we're just going to stamp on all different types of papers and maybe even some material. But first we want to say thank you so much to a few people who have donated to buy me a coffee, and that link is below if you want to go over and check out what that is. Just help support our channel. L. Widener, Betty, Jean, Jazz, Victoria, Heather, Tiffany, Thurman, Cynthia, Carol, Peggy, Vicky, and Elizabeth. So thank you guys so much for your donations. We really appreciate it. Now this is some deli paper that I had used as a drop cloth a long time ago when I was spraying, and I had that in my stash, and I thought, we'll use that. This is some heavyweight vellum that has been coffee dyed. We'll use some of that. This is just some scraps of dyed paper, different dyed parts. I've also got some parchment paper that we're going to try to stamp on. It's been crumpled and all of that. And then we're going to pull out some scraps and just different things. I've got just a ton of stuff. We're even going to stamp on some paper bags and things like that. I've got some brown paper bag and some white paper bag. And we're going to stamp on anything we can find. And then this is some paper that I got in some Happy Mail. I'm sure it's probably like a tissue paper, but it's just a little bit heavier, and it has a little bit of sparkle in it. So we're going to stamp on that. And some ledger paper. Okay, but first what I want to do is, let me grab my stamps here. Now I've got a variety of stamps. I've just pulled out a variety of stamps, and that's what we're going to use. And then I've got just some scraps and, all different kinds of things. So I'm just trying to get myself a little bit of room here. I've got some of our new stamps. This is the invoices, I think, or ledger. Maybe this is ledger, but you can see what it looks like. So when you look on the website, you'll know what that is. So I'm going to use some of those. I've got some Tim Holtz background stamps. I'm going to stamp some backgrounds, and then just some various odd stamps that I've had in my stash. So we're just going to use a lot of things. Now I'm going to start off by using some of these Signet stamps. Now these have not even been used. I have just now took them out of the package. I'm going to condition them just a little bit. They don't tell you to do this, but I always condition my stamps just by rubbing them on my arms and hands a little bit. To me, that helps the stamp, helps the ink go on the stamp a little bit better and hold. But like I said, it's not something they tell you to do, but I've just always done this with new stamps. It just, I don't know, I find it helps. Now, they tell you that there's a hard plastic on the back of these, so you need to pull that hard plastic off, and that will reveal your sticky part. So we're going to go ahead and pull that off. See? There's that plastic coming off. And then I'm going to make sure, yeah, it fits on that block, I think. Yeah, it fits on that block. Now, you see how you can actually put this stamp down crooked if you want to. So the best thing to do is put your stamp down face down on your paper and let it relax. Then take your block, and I think I'm actually going to need a little bit larger block. Grab a larger one. Take your block and go to your stamp. Then your stamp goes on straight and it's not curvy. So these acrylic clear stamps, you can put them on crooked. So don't try to put it on your block like, let's, hold it in your hand and put it on your block, because you're going to get it crooked. See how it? So lay it down face down on your mat and then just bring your stamp block to it, straight down to it, and it goes on straight. It's just a little tidbit that I learned a long time ago. Okay, pull that off of there, lay that down, and I think we'll use, this is a big heavy block, but I think it'll work with that one. Okay, so we have those on there, we have those conditioned. Now I'm just going to start with a scrap. Like I said, this is just a scrap of regular copy paper that I have ink dyed, and it's just a little bitty scrap that I saved back because I like to save them back and use them to stamp on. Now I am going to put this big stamp. This is Tim Holtz big background stamp. See if it'll still stick. I have used it so many times. Yeah. And I've just got a piece of brown paper down on my mat. That way I can do all kinds of things on here and I don't have to worry about getting the ink onto my mat below. Alright, I will tell you there's many different types of inks that you can use. I'm going to pull out some of them and just show you. You've got STAZON, jet black. There's a Memento. And then I have a VersaFine. All these are black. All of these will stamp really pretty, but it depends on what kind of medium you're going to use on the top, whether or not you use a particular stamp. This is a fast lasting impression, fade resistant dye ink. So this is not going to fade. If you stamp an image with this and then later you decide you want to come back with some liquid medium and go on top of that, it's not going to run. It's not going to fade. If you use a distress ink like Tim Holtz, this is a water-based ink. So if you come back later after you stamp with that and you decide you want to get it wet with a wet medium or something, it's going to run. It's going to fade. This is a solvent ink pad. So this one will stamp on just about anything. This is what I use to stamp on acetate and acrylic and all of that kind of stuff. Clean stamping surface dries in 3 to 5 minutes on non-porous surfaces. So I use this when I stamp on my acrylic or my vellum, anything like that. This one is just a really good all-purpose, really onyx black ink. I use this for any kind of stamping. Other than my vellum, I don't use this on vellum. It doesn't dry as well. So, you know, you can look all these up. If you just Google Memento and see what all you can use with it, STAZON, it's, you know, you can find all that information. I'm not going to go into all the information about the inks right now. I'm just mainly going to tell you a little bit about the stamping. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Memento, and I'm just going to go over this. And I'm probably going to lay 2 or 3 pieces down here so that I just can stamp a lot at once and I don't have to stamp each one individually, because this is a big stamp. And I don't want a really perfect impression. I just want a little bit of this for the background. So we're just going to put it down, let it sit for a second, and pull it up. Yes, that worked good. Look at that. I like that. And I've probably got enough to go on this one. Let's go ahead and try it. Yes, we do. See how that does? It adds that layer to the background. Let's see what else we can put some on while we're going here. See, it just keeps on and on giving. That's the good part about this. Okay, I'm going to lay that aside. I'm going to take my stamp and I am going to use my VersaFine. And I'm probably, usually the first time that I stamp with a stamp, I stamp off. But I want you to look. You can see when you lay your stamp down on your ink pad. See if I can get it up here without dropping it. You can see when your stamped area gets solid. When it gets solid, you know you've got it inked up well. So let's stamp off first and see what we get. Leave your stamp sitting there for a minute. It takes just a little bit for that ink to transfer. Look how good that's stamped. So don't just pop it down and right up, okay? Now the light part here is what you're seeing is where this spray is on the background, so don't worry about that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and stamp on this. Like I said, leave it sitting there for a minute because you want that ink to transfer onto your paper. You don't want to just pop it down and straight up. Okay? Look at that. Isn't that good? I love that. Okay, let's stamp on another. Now, some of these inks, I'll tell you this, and some people don't like this. It doesn't bother me at all. Some of these inks, like this, the StazOn particularly, will stain your stamp. That's not going to hurt it. That's not going to hurt it at all. As a matter of fact, I have been told by some stamping people, some people that do a lot of stamping, that that even helps condition your stamp some. So I don't worry about that. I just stamp. If it stains it, it's okay. Once it dries, it's not going to come off on anything else anyway, so don't be concerned. Look how pretty. I love that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just stamp off a few times on this, and I will use this piece of paper here. Then I'm going to use the smaller one because I can get some small ones in beside here. Again, I'm going to stamp off the first stamp. Stamps very, very well. Now you can get these from Signet also in the rubber, the red rubber. I just wanted, oops, I stamped that a little close, didn't I? That's okay, I can still cut it out. I just wanted the clear because on the clear you can position it where you want it. There we go. And that one went off, so I won't use that one probably. Okay, let's stamp a little bit on this deli paper. See what we get. First off, we want to put something in the background. And again, I'm just going to put some of this. And I'm just using that same ink. It'll work. It will work. Okay. Now you can be much more meticulous with yours and not, you know, make sure that everything is exactly perfect. But right now I'm just stamping. I'm not worrying about what part I'm going to cut out, what part is going to show. I'm just stamping. Most all of these are going to be great to use, so I'm not going to worry about that part. Let's go ahead and stamp some on here. This is a crinkled paper, but look at that. Isn't that pretty? Now you can come back with, let's see if we've got some word stamps somewhere. Okay, we're going to pull out this Tim Holtz Field Notes stamps. And I've got a lot of little words and little numbers and things in here. We're just going to use some of those. Grab another little block. And I'm just going to go back on the inside of that and stamp a number. Or this word. It's not a number. This is a word. Isn't that cute? Now you can also, let's grab another one. Let's see. Let me look at my block here and see if this is going to fit. I think so. Okay, let's stamp. I'm just going to put it on the other side of that one. And let's see. Yeah, we'll do this. Okay, we're going to stamp destination on here. Then we're just going to flip it over, and I'm going to pull that off so I can see well. And hopefully I got that somewhat near straight. Yep, pretty straight. That'll work. Anyway, I will use that definitely. Okay, while we're going, let's just go ahead and use some larger stamps because I think this will go inside that. Yes, it will. That Field Notes fits right inside that stamp there. Now, I'll tell you, these are not completely clear. You have to get right down to the paper before they actually show the word, but you can still do it. I have had some that are completely clear and you can see all the way through, but these are still going to stamp great. Now I'm going to use some brown. This is rich cocoa. Let's see what it looks like in the brown. I love it in the black. And this may be, I may need to add, no, maybe it'll work. Let's see, stamp it right there. This is not as juicy as it used to be. Ooh, that's cute. Now, I don't know how that's going to look around that. We shall see. Nothing better than trying, is it? You can always, I mean, you don't have to use it. This is just a scrap anyway, so. Okay, I've got a little bit of ink right there on that stamp, so I'm going to wipe that off on the inside circle. Let's see if we can see that. So you can see it when you lay it all the way down, but before you lay it down you can't. But that's just showing you that's a good stamp. Now that looks kind of weird like that, so I probably will just cut that out, but I still like it. You can just use this and your stamps in the background. Isn't that pretty? See, I love label stamps. You know I love labels, so I'm definitely going to love label stamps, of course. Let's use one of, this is Gabriella. This is her stamps. She is a very, very good designer. She does lots of designing. Now, I think it's going to be too big to go in there, or this label is going to be too big for the stamp to go in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in these, and we will use this word. It just says inspiration. Use this little stamp block, and then let's just use our Versify. Now, Melina did each of her little stamps individually, or each of her little labels individually. I just do a bunch at once and then I cut them out. It doesn't matter, I don't think, which way you do it. Now see how I can see through that? I'm not necessarily seeing through the stamp, but I am seeing through all of that stamp block, and then I can position it, hopefully, where I need it. So leave it sitting a minute, and then look at that. I think that's pretty. So let's try this on a few more. And this says inspiration, in case you can't read that. And of course, when I stamp, I get ink all over me. I don't know about anybody else, but that's just me, because I am not a neat crafter when it comes to things like this. Okay. Oh, I like that. I will use that one a lot. Okay. Okay, let's use one of her other words and put in here. What about beauty? That would be a good one. I think that'll fit. Yep. Let's stamp that in there. Cute. Look at that. And these just stamp so well. All of these stamps do. So thank you so much, Signa. I think it is Bob, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Bob, for getting these stamps out to me. Sorry it has taken me so long to use them. And I did purchase these with my own money. He didn't give me these. But he did tell me when I did the video to make sure that I let him know, because they wanted to take a look at it. Okay, let's see what else we want to stamp on. I think I'm going to use this one on some of this brown and my brown ink. Let's see, I had black on that, but my black had already dried. And I'm going to go right in and stamp my brown. Ooh, I like that. These do stamp very well. I wish I could remember who helped design these. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll put her name on the screen right here. I'll think about it in a minute. I'll think of what her name is, I do believe. And I think that she helped design them from what I hear. And I think Rachel and Gail and a lot of them have already used these stamps a while ago. I have just, you guys know I've been kind of under the weather. And so I have just now got around to using these. And now I'm so excited I want to stamp everything. I don't want to stop. Let's just do this. Let's do this one again. It says name of remittance. And see, I should be able to position that in the middle. Now that doesn't show up as good. Let's try the brown outline and the black stamping in the middle, because I do have, this is a brown background. Yeah, that shows up better. And your stamping doesn't have to be perfect. For a long time I wouldn't stamp. Melina would bring stamps over and she'd say, Mom, you need to do some stamping. I said, no, I don't want to. I would not stamp because I felt like my stamping had to be perfect. Everything had to be exactly perfect. And then I found out it doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect. Just stamp. You got to do what you enjoy. Let's see. We'll put a number in one of these. Oh, look at that number. Like that. I like my numbers. Whoops, I got that in a little low, I think. Yep. But that's okay. I'll still use it. Okay. Alright, let's stamp on some other types of papers. Now, I have got this. This is vellum. It's a really heavy vellum. I do think that this memento will work on it, because I'll give it time to dry. You just need to make sure that you give it time to dry. Okay. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? I love that. And you could put a background on this if you want, or you can stamp it and put the background on after you stamp. It doesn't matter. If you're going to be cutting them out, it doesn't matter which way you go with it. Oh, that does stamp on there very well, even though my ink pad is almost dried up. That is pretty. Okay. Now, what do we want to put in the middle of that? Do we want to put destination? Let's see what other words we have on here. This is the field note stamp, and I do believe we still have some of these in stock, if I'm not mistaken. Coordinating order, maybe? Oh, corresponding order. I'll get it right in a minute. And someone asked me, why in the world do you have so many stamp blocks? Look, I left a little stamp on that one. Because when I start stamping, I pull everything out and I have all my stamp blocks, or all my stamps mounted on my stamp blocks. And therefore, I just start stamping. I don't have to transfer them back and forth. Okay, let's see if we can get this somewhat in there. You know what? I think I want to stamp something else on this first. Let me look. I'm going to use this little stamp, and this is one of our stamps that we have in the shop. You can grab it. Let's see. Let's use, and I'm going to use this, but I am going to stamp really, really light with that, because it's got all kinds of information on there, and it's very busy, but I'm going to stamp really light with it. I don't want it to cover everything. So, I wonder which way is up. Let's stamp off. Oh, I like that. Look. See, you can do this type stamping, your background stamping, after you stamp your outline if you want to. Just making sure which way goes up, which way goes down. Now let's go back and stamp this in there. Because that was actually a little invoice stamp. Oh, I like that. I like that. I hit the computer, so I wanted to make sure I hadn't cut you off. Okay. Whoops. That one I went crooked on. Now that's just me. That's not the stamp. That's just my hand. My shaky hand. But if I can do it with my shaky hands, anybody can do this. I like those. I will still use those that are a little crooked, because guess what? Even if you get something stamped by a professional, or you get a little invoice stamped in town or something like that, guess what? It's not straight. Normally it's not straight. Alright, what are we going to stamp on now? Let's stamp on, this is a piece of paper that one of you guys sent me a while ago, and I have not had a chance to use it. I've not come to an opportunity to where I felt like I really could use it and make good use out of it. So I'm going to use this larger stamp and this medium stamp. Now, he has these in a big set that's got all different shapes and sizes on it. I just bought 3 of them just to see what they were like, but now I'm going to go back and get the rest because I love them. So you can get the big set, or you can buy just one at a time, any way that you want to do it. Now let's see, I want to just get some of that writing in the background. Gonna hold that there. Oh yeah, look at that. That's gonna look so good cut out and to use on our journals. Now I'm gonna be stamping on everything all day long. That's all I'm gonna be doing. Sorry, Melina, I'm doing your project, but I'm maybe not doing it exactly like you was doing. I am making labels, but I am also just stamping on everything. And I'm stamping first and not necessarily cutting everything out. Oh, I like that too. Now, I'm going to show you. This has got a beautiful butterfly right there that I want to use. So the good part about these stamps is I can see that butterfly through this. So I should be able to position it about where I want it. And I don't want it exact or perfect. Look at that. I'll have the majority of that butterfly on there when I cut that out. Isn't that cute? I love that. Okay. Let's do some stamping with the medium sized one. Now you can do this with any stamps. You do not have to have the stamps that I do. You can do it with stamps that are in your possession right now. Stamps that are clear in the middle that makes your stamp outline. I want to get this right here in one, so I'm going to try to hover over and do that. You don't have to get it all. Your eye will finish filling in anything that's missing when you do a partial stamp or something like that. Let's see. Let's get this. And you don't want it to look too planned. You'd rather have it a little bit off. This is perfect. This paper, the ones of you who sent me this paper, thank you so much. It's perfect for this. Absolutely perfect. Okay, I'm going to do one more and then we'll go to another type. Oh. And see, what I will do is I'll come back in with a smaller one and I'll fill in all of that and then cut all those out. And look how many stamps I will have. That is wonderful. These stamp fantastic. This is parchment paper, so sorry about the crinkling. So let's go ahead and do some stamping on this. Now, what will I do? What will I do? Okay, now I also have these ticket booth stamps, and these are for Tim Holtz as well. And I think we might have a few more of these left. I am thinking that we do. They have back ordered these on us a couple of times, so. But now, I need another stamp block. I'm just going to use this one. I don't particularly like the ones with the little top on it like that because I like to see through, but I think it will work okay for this because I'm running out of other blocks. Now, that's parchment paper. Look at that. Stamps very well. It's not as dark as just stamping on paper, but it works. And that's all we're after, right? It's for it to work. Cute. I'll stamp a few more. And someone said, why in the world do you press so hard? Your hand even shakes when you press. Well, that is not me pressing so hard. That is because my hands are not very strong since I have broke both of them. So I kind of have to stamp or push down pretty hard, and my hand does shake, but it's not. Now see, this is a little bit lighter, but I still like that. It's stamped well, even though it's on this parchment paper. You know what? Let's try this side and see if there's any difference. Sometimes your parchment paper is different on one side than it is the other. Oops, I let that one slide. Okay, this is the better side right here. Okay, let's stamp that off. I am going to stamp with this one. And I think I'm going to use some brown. So we're going to stamp that off. Now you can see that my stamps are getting stained. That doesn't bother me. I don't want my stamps to be pristine. I don't want them to look like that they've never been used. They don't have to look that way. That's cute. I like that. Okay. So that is on parchment paper. Now let's go to our paper bag and see what we get. Let's see, what are we going to use? I'm going to stamp this down on it, I think, and then come back with the outline stamps. Okay, now let's see, let's come back with this. Oh yes, when I cut that out, look. And I'll cut some of these out in a minute so that you'll be able to tell what I'm doing, because I know right now it's a little bit hard, but when I cut them out you'll be able to see. So even on a paper bag, this is just a plain paper bag, just one of our little small paper bags that we have in the store. Okay, just going to stamp my stamps off a little bit, and I'm gonna go, let me go get my stamp cleaner wet, and I will come back and clean those off a little bit. Right, this is my stamp cleaner. It's just an old rag that I wet. I don't really care to clean my stamps off with baby wipes because it leaves a little residue on them, and then there's a little fuzzy bit when you start to stamp again. So I just use an old rag wet over and over. And see, most all of that is coming off of these stamps, nice and clean. But even if it didn't, it would be okay with me. So I'm just going to clean the rest of them, and then we'll come back and start cutting some things out. Well, I have lots of them cut out. I haven't cut all of them out yet, but look how many I stamped just in a short period of time, and I've got all of these labels, and then I still have labels to cut out. So tons and tons of labels. I am absolutely in love with these stamps from Signet. I told you I only ordered 3 because I wanted to see how they stamped. I have used many outline label stamps before, and they're sitting over there in my stash. I don't like them because they didn't stamp a good impression on the outside rim, and that's what I wanted. So I think his name is Bob, correct me if I'm wrong down below, but I told him when I started to order, I went ahead and talked to them first, and I told him, I said, I've used many kinds, and the ones that I have used I will not recommend because I didn't like how they stamped the outline. It wasn't a crisp impression, and it didn't stamp the same all the way around. These do, as you can see. I mean, I've got many of them here, and you can see that. So I will recommend his stamps. Now, this is even stamped on a paper that it's a tissue paper that has some glitter on it. And look how well it's stamped. And I used brown on here, but this is a tissue paper. So let's see. This is pattern paper, like scrapbook paper. What else we got? This is, let's see, is this one? This is the tissue paper, I think. And it's not completely dry, so I'm letting those dry, but that's stamped well too. Everything, all of them stamped really, really good. So I am going to be going back and getting the rest of this set of stamps. I love them. Look at this one. Get it up the right way. Look how pretty. So you can position them on your piece of paper. Let's just grab a scrap. Let's see. Well, I do have a scrap somewhere here. Let's just say that you wanted to get this flower inside the stamp. That's what you wanted to be your label. You can position that like that, stamp around it, and cut that out, and you've got your label right there all ready to go. Very, very cute. Let's just take another for instance. Let me grab another piece of paper. Okay, here's one. Here's a scrap, and no, I think this is actually a full sheet that's out of that new paper collection, Awakening, that we have. Let's say you want to get a particular piece of this music page. You would just position it like that, you know, straight like that, and then stamp it and cut that out, and you have a label that is a music page label. So these are fantastic. I will be stamping everything in my stash now. So if I want to get this in there, I can position it like I want, stamp it, and I'll have that in there for my label. It's so neat. I love it. Everything around here is going to be stamped. I'm going to have to hire somebody to cut everything out that I have stamped for me, because I don't have time to cut them all out. So let's go ahead and cut this one out with the butterfly right here, and we'll do this one on camera. And I'm going to try to cut this in a way that I'm not going to waste that paper, because I can still do lots of stamping on there with the smaller stamp. So I'm just going to go right around it, leave the other part of my paper intact so that I can stamp around that. But have you ever been making a journal or something, or making a page even, and you thought, man, I love that. If I had that in a label, that would be beautiful on here. Well, now you can have. Look at that. I mean, it looks like you bought it somewhere. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut these two out while we're at it. There's lots more paper. So there are those, and I didn't cut them completely out, but you can see. And then the ones that stamped on the paper bag, this is them. Look at that. It did really good on the paper bag too. So everything that I stamped those on worked very, very well. Now, the only other thing I wanted to try, and I'm going to move these up a little bit. Hopefully I'm not smearing any of them, because I know some of them may not be completely dry. The only other thing I wanted to try was to stamp some on some material. So I'm just going to take a little piece of this material. Doesn't have to be much. This material actually has a background to it. It's a little florally background. I just want to see what will work stamping on here. Okay. Alright, I think I'm just going to try the stamp itself without putting anything in the background. I think I'm going to try that first. And I can always come back and put something in the background. Now this is just fabric. It's not even a particular kind of fabric. It's just fabric. And this is brown ink that's almost dried up. Ooh, I like that. I like it, I like it. Okay, let's see what the black looks like on there. You guys know I use a lot of material labels. I love my material labels. Oh, another thing, the napkins, the layers that you peel off of the napkins, I bet these would stamp wonderfully on there too. It'd be very pretty. So I'm just going to do this, and then I can come back with a background stamp or a stamp to go on the inside and fill these in if I want to. Look at that. I like that. I really, really do. I'm going to stamp one more to fill that up. So they stamp on material well too. Just to let you know. And I just used Memento to do that. Okay, now you can see, I wanted to show you, this one I held down longer than I did these two. You can see the darkness of it. So hold it down a little bit for it to seep into the paper or the material, whatever you're stamping on. Alright, so those are beautiful. I love them. And see, then I can come back with this big stamp. I don't think it has any ink on it still, but we'll see. Oh, a tiny bit. More than I thought. But I want to stamp this way. I really don't want to get too much on there. And I've already taken my background up, so I'm probably getting ink all on my desk, but that's okay. We can get it off. Okay. There's my background stamp in there, and I can cut those out and they're ready to go. Let's just trim one out. And this is kind of a textured material too, and it's still stamped very well. That surprised me. Now, I would normally wait for this to dry a little bit more because it could be coming off, which it looks like it is, because I didn't let it dry. But I'm just going to go ahead and cut this one out, and I'll let the other ones dry, because it does need to dry into the material. But you can see that's where I put my finger, so that's not where the stamp misbehaved. That was my finger, as you can see right there. But it's still stamped very well. Alright, I'm going to lay that aside and let that dry. Alright, I think that is it for this video. I will try to link all of these stamps that I have used below. Now, I know that the one from Gabriella, I am not sure I'll be able to find it anywhere. I got it many years ago, and I'm pretty sure it's not on Amazon or anything like that. So, if I can find it, I'll link it, but I may not be able to. The others, I do have links to, and of course, I've got links to Signet. So, and it's Signet, if I'm not mistaken. Is that not right? S-I-G-N-E-T, Signet. Signet stamps. So I do have links to those. And you can go over and grab you some of them if I don't buy them all out first. Because I think I want the rubber and the clear. Alright, we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the links below for all of these stamps. This is a small Etsy company. The Signet stamps, they're a small Etsy company, probably are family owned, family operated, so don't forget to check them out and get some of these stamps, because I am absolutely in love with them and I need the other ones now. Alright guys, we'll talk to you later. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Bye bye.